Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. In today's garden ramblings, I am just going to walk through the garden and show you what's going on. Growth has been wonderful, staying ahead of the weeds mostly, but things are growing really well. This space originally had a lot of lettuce in it, and the smaller heads right there and right there, I harvested them early, left the roots in, and they're coming back with a second round. This all has to come out this week, just because it's getting too warm. It's starting to bolt. When the head starts to form like that, just going to create a flower stalk. But I don't mind my lettuce a little bit bitter. I wanted to show you the peppers in here. They are starting to look really good, nice and green. It's been warming up. I've been taking care of these. When they first were put in here, if you've been following the ramblings, they were kind of just short and stunted, lots of damage on the leaves. There were some patterns on there. Everything is greening up because I've given them a drink of water-soluble fertilizer. What you want to look for when you're putting your pepper plants out into the ground, sometimes it gets cold into the 40s at night or the 50s, or the days don't warm up. The peppers can get really beat up, but all you're looking for is the new growth. If it's nice and green, even with beat up leaves below, they do fine. The really damaged leaves just start to fall off, and you can leave them there. But people sometimes get concerned that a disease set in, that the plant's going to die off, and it's really about them because they see plant leaves like this. It's really just about them kind of acclimating to the new temperatures, waiting for the heat to roll in. Their root system really has to establish, so if you have a lot of canopy growth and small roots, make sure you're watering them almost every day, because the sun is going to pull the water out of the root system. Well, it's going to pull the water out from around the root system, and if they don't have roots that go all over the place, they're going to need water. Even though the rest of the soil might be really wet, when you put in that transplant and it's just a little plug of roots, remember, the sun is hitting it, water is evaporating through the leaves. They really need to have the water around there. But once the root system's established, usually 10, 14 days, the plants start to take off, and these are really going to be beautiful, I think, come down the line. And you look for all this new growth. So peppers are doing well. I think last year I had 14 plants in here. This year I went with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Cut back 2 of them. 14 worked, but I just didn't need all those peppers. And what I did was I interplanted. Like you can see, the little guy in here is being shaded off a little bit by the lettuce, but this is going to get harvested today. The rest of this stuff will come out, and this will be my pepper container going forward. So you can kind of interplant your warm crops in with your cool crops, knowing that they're going to eventually come out. These are patio, I believe. Let me just read what I left in here. These are Fantastico. These are determinate type tomatoes. This is a 22-gallon container. Bottom is closed, but it has holes in it. And these tomato plants are looking really good. Because they're determinate varieties, I'm only going to maybe prune off a couple of branches under here for airflow. But you want to leave all the suckers, all the leaves really growing, so the determinate variety gets to a set height, produces flowers over a period of time, produces fruit, and then the plant tends to die back. But you really don't want to heavily prune your determinate type tomatoes, because you're going to be removing these away. You're going to be removing flowers and future tomatoes, and these don't keep growing like your indeterminate varieties throughout the summer. Spinning through here, I got to get in with the weed eater, clean up the weeds a little bit, but stuff looks great. I mean, last week I was showing you all the blueberries on here. Still green, but getting plump. Blackberries are looking good. I'll show you those as we approach them. Peas. I have hundreds of peas everywhere. That's my goal. I love peas, so this year I planted more peas, different types. Flat pods for like Chinese food. You see the flat pods. The snap pods, where you eat the pods and the peas, and then the shelling peas are my favorite, where you can't really eat the pods, but the peas inside are delicious. You can see peppers tucked right in there. Did I put one in here? Look, I forgot about this guy. So what I would do is, one, kind of lean it out so it's getting more sun. My sun's on the other side, but I would start today. I'll come through and I'll just move the peas out of the way so more sun is coming in there. And because the roots from the peppers and the peas are going to mingle together. When I clear this out, I'm not going to yank out the pea roots. I don't want to disturb anything over here. Well, here's a weed. Look at that. I'm just going to cut them off. Leave the roots in, they'll break down, they'll feed nitrogen back to the plants. It's all good to go. There's another Szechuan. Last year I think I had 6 in there, way too many. I'm cutting it down to 3. I'll put some other stuff in there. Good example of the cut and come again lettuce. Another round of the red lettuce is coming through there. And then on the back side here, where the sun comes in this way, I have onions growing. So I really like this space. And potatoes are down there on that end. So this container, you know, is really producing a lot. Cool crops, warm crops, onions, potatoes. We're also giving away a 9-in-1 Vegega metal raised bed. It's a big metal bed that you can kind of arrange in any kind of shape that you want. Check out the video description because you have to go to our Instagram shop page. I'll put the link in there, but you can enter to win a 9-in-1 Vegega metal raised bed, and we also are giving out a second prize, a $100 gift card. And TRG 15 will get you 15% off any of the beds at Vegega right now. They always have sales, but this 15% off code covers every single bed design that you see there. Let me show you this. I think this is kind of cool. So these peppers, keep forgetting to water them, but I have to take care of them. They're going to go out into the garden. I've taken a lot out of here. This was my sunken cold frame where these peppers went in a long time ago. They're going to get moved, but look at the tomato plants that came back. They just self-seeded themselves, bigger than any tomato plant I have. The earth down there stays warmer, so through really probably mid-March all the way through April, frost never came in here because I could close it up, it stayed warm, and then the tomato plants are beautiful. Of course, I think I'm going to keep one again and kind of figure out how to trellis it up through here, but I got to remove a lot of the plants. There's just so many in there. This is just a different way to grow. Sink your earth down 18 inches or so. You put a cold frame on top. You could probably overwinter your peppers in some areas depending on how cold it gets. But this does not get a frost. And it's actually through all of March because I put these in early, March and April. So in my area, I'd have to be worried about January and February. If this protects plants from getting a frost, I could just drop in all my pepper plants. I would pull them out of my sunken container garden, trim them back, get them set up, drop the peppers in here. They don't freeze, they overwinter, put them back outside, and then the plants are even bigger come next year. Really been working on this space, repopulated my containers. Oh, look at that strawberry. Got to get this. Oh, well, I'll cut that off, but these are beautiful. Really been working on kind of repopulating the pockets with strawberries from around my property, and I pretty much filled up all the pockets I wanted to fill up. Interplanting peppers in with the strawberries this year. One plant, maybe 2 pepper plants per tier here in the GreenStalks. I am affiliated with them too if you want to check them out. These are just simply the best vertical towers you can buy. It is more expensive, but either this one or the tan one over here I've had outside for 7 years. No cracking, they're not becoming brittle, very little fading, you know, beat up. But I leave these out 24/7 with soil in them. And in Maryland, we get, you know, freezing winters. But look at the strawberries, look good. This is the patio yellow. That's what I thought was over in that other container. Another determinate variety. One tomato, one determinate type variety per pocket works pretty well. When you put in too many plants that grow massive root systems, you can manage it. You're just going to have to keep up the watering, sometimes daily. And if you're putting a lot of tomatoes down here, but you have other plants in your vertical tower, when you water from the top, a lot of the water is going to all the tiers, to be honest. And they may not need all that water. So sometimes when you're planting, you may just want to fill from the sides, and you're going to do different tiers. Just because you can water from the top doesn't mean you want to do that every time. Here's another tomato I dropped in. That's a tiny Tim. So it's mixed up nicely through the containers. This guy's in transition Lots of lettuce, spinach I've cut off. Again, you cut off what you want to grow, leave the roots in, and these are all coming back, but they're not going to make it. Here we go. So here's an example. This guy got in late, looks a little beat up, so I would just water this a little bit more, put water soluble fertilizer in here, take care of that plant, and not do everything from the top here, because everything doesn't need to be fed, everything doesn't need to be watered. This guy needs to be taken care of. There's another tomato looking a little bit better. So I'm really excited. There's one I put in several weeks ago. Looks beautiful. So really, with these towers, you can mix it up really however you want. These are dianthus. A lot of people have been asking me, what is that red flower? This is a perennial in my area. I like to mix in flowers and, you know, different things in my garden for eye appeal, for insects, for pollinators. But I think that looks really good. So when these die off, I'll trim them back, give them some water-soluble fertilizer, and they'll come back for another bloom. But that's a variety of dianthus. Blackberries. We're doing a tour backwards this time because I'm doing it actually later in the day. Blackberries look beautiful. They are starting to spread out. I think the birds have, you know, dropped seeds in different places. All this is going to get pulled up, and they're going to go into pots, and I'm going to be planting them throughout, you know, my property. There's a perfect one that can come out now, get established in a couple gallon pot, and that will go out into my wooded area. So the peppers here, again, they were looking like this. They were only about to the height of my hand. The leaves were all beat up, fell off, but feeding them in warmth, they're coming back. They're going to be fine. Eggplant, really beat up. Flea beetles, going to be fine. This was the guy that was the most beat up. All you're looking for is this. Keep the E-7 dust on there. Captain Jack's spinosyn organic dust on there. Keep the flea beetles off. These were watered probably, I don't know, 7 or 10 days ago with a water-soluble fertilizer. I'm going to hit them again, including the peppers, and they should do perfectly well. Again, we're just waiting for the heat, you know, really warm soil, the root system's all established, and then these plants are going to take off. That's my tomato plant that I'm planting as a vine. It's one plant that's been crawling across this way. As it's getting bigger, I will continue to let it vine across there. Although, if you have a good eye, you can see volunteers coming up. But I'll be removing those because I don't know what variety they are. I actually don't even know what variety that is. I think it's a black cherry, but we'll see what it does. Another good example of peppers that are just, you know, a little bit beat up. You might want to remove the flowers. That's fine to do when they're this small. But once the root system is established, it doesn't matter if it's really growing flowers and fruit, as long as the system can handle it, and that's the root system. There's a better looking leaf for the eggplant. Getting the mulch down in different places, I don't know what weed this is, but it does produce a nice flower, but it keeps coming back. I might actually get a stronger spray on a day that's not windy, and I'm going to start killing these off a little bit at a time. I don't mind using chemicals in my garden. I'm not soaking the root systems of my vegetable plants. I'm not spraying poison everywhere. I might just do a quick spray on each of these and kill them out because I'm really tired of weeding them. And you know, I'm not 100% organic gardener. I'm like 90-95%. But if there's something specific that you can use that's not going to harm your soil, your plants, or whatever, I'm comfortable with using it. Sunflowers are coming up. Just did a video on that. Look how nice the tomato plants are. And then again, it's all about that root system getting established and the warmth coming in. Someone said that sunflowers put out a chemical in the root system that, you know, inhibits other growth of plants. I'm going to keep an eye on that, you know, and then first thing I say is I've been doing this for years and haven't noticed anything. But then right over here, you got one little tiny tomato plant planted the same time as the rest of these. So I'm wondering if in proximity, not like this entire bed, but maybe in proximity like that, the sunflower does inhibit the growth of plants. So this will be an experiment. We're going to see if this guy catches up. some things to keep in mind, which I think this is kind of cool, is that there could be truth to that. And maybe the sunflower roots come in this way and they interact with the newly planted tomato plant. Or there's a sapling in there too. Or they send out the roots more in a shallow area, and that shallow area inhibits the growth. And those shallow roots inhibit the growth of seedlings and plants from around there. Not sure, but the roots could move in, inhibit the growth of that tomato plant. As that tomato plant gets roots that go down deeper and further this way, it takes off, so they can, you know, live together. You also see lots of ants in there too. And if I feel like that becomes a problem, I'm just gonna let my sunflowers kind of wild seed in the paths and stuff like that I've been doing, or in different places. This is my bug hotel, which is really for good bugs to set up camp, to multiply, and to really kind of just do their thing in there. And I have a video on this. It might have even been called a bug hotel, but these are just bricks with boards covered in foil in between, different size and shape sticks, stones, clay pots, and it just gives the beneficial insects, even toads may even move in kind of on that bottom floor down there, and it gives a shelter for stuff that you want to be having in your garden. Going with marigolds in there this year because I would always forget to water this. Marigolds are almost indestructible. These are marigolds I keep forgetting to water. Notice how they turn purple. It's not that they don't have nutrients, but without water they can't pull nutrients into their system. And that's one of the things that I want to stress too. One of the biggest mistakes we make when gardening is we don't water the plants enough. And if the plants don't have enough water, even if you have plenty of nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium and compost, they're not able to draw it in their system. So watering more often than you think really makes a difference. I took all the radishes out. Throughout my garden you're going to just see what I've been pulling out, getting ready for June. Kale is doing beautifully. More peas back there. Last round of radishes. They're still edible. All the blackberries that I can really pot up. And then this bed's going to be, I'm not sure what, but I was able to pull up some garlic. So that will get me through, you know, for a couple of weeks with garlic. Muscadines look good. We're not going to go visit that garden today, but that's my other garden over there, spinning around. Asparagus is going to get trimmed up. Going to be putting cardboard sheets down here and really taking care of this. You can see, the first thing I'm using is vinegar spray, but I'm weakening these plants here. Vinegar really only kills the top part. You have to spray it again, let it soak into the root system. It will kill the root system. If you're worried about making this too acidic, then you would put lime. You could put lime down. That would add calcium. That will help neutralize any of the acidity that you created there. But it takes time, you know, slow and steady. These peppers are looking great. These are probably going to get put somewhere, not sure where, but I had a whole other flat. I'll show you that at the end, which I was just going to get rid of. But of course, I'm like, no, I got to tuck these in somewhere. But just look how well they're doing. It's because, again, I'm going to stress it, it's the root systems have established. So when we're putting in our transplants, that first 2 weeks can be kind of, you know, nerve-wracking for us. And it's not that the plants are dying or anything. You just got to give them time to get established. Purple cabbage, absolutely beautiful. I'm noticing no difference between spinosad and 7 dust. They seem to both work equally as well. But I'm going to have, if I don't get perfect cabbage, the leaves have been delicious. They're just huge. Look how big these are. You know? You can do wraps with these too, by the way. I mean, that is just beautiful. Been eating the tops of the purple broccoli. That's a variety that doesn't head tightly together. You know, I do have the green broccoli in there. I believe it's artwork, and they're starting to form. And the shade cloth is helping. Let's just buzz by there real quick. So it's just going to be a nice tight head of broccoli versus this variety that sends out more pieces like this. But these were absolutely delicious. I think I have cardboard. Yeah, I got cardboard in there ready to cover up these plants. And again, I'm not spraying the vinegar too close to the asparagus, but I'm just going to try and weaken this whole patch. Oh, here's a good one that this just showed up from a few days ago. So the snails are really getting to this. So snail time here is probably really mid-May to June, but this is a variety of Chinese cabbage that does really well. Let's take one out actually. By opening up this space, you'll let birds get in there, but it's, you know, I'm just going to get rid of this. But look how attractive. There we go. There's a culprit. It's a slug. And it's the kind that I don't want. Just got rid of it. But it's a just nice, heavy, beautiful, leafy cabbage. I'll eat that today. And I said I was going to go find a variety. I forget what it is, but if you look up just red pak choi, bok choy, or Chinese cabbage, these varieties are great. And this is what slug and snail damage looks like. Celery looks really good. And I may harvest some of this young, leave the roots in, and I'll keep getting these leaves that I can use for stews and all kinds of different ways to cook. Spin around this way. I've been clearing out the space here, getting things watered. Parsnips look good. Leeks are in. Zucchini doing well. I'm going to be experimenting with this and actually slicing half of the cylinder of the zucchini plant and seeing if that helps with the vine borer. And somebody gave me that suggestion as a comment. They said it's been working, and I think it's pure genius. So I will give that person a shout out when I officially do the video for that. Hot peppers looking good. Kohlrabi looking good. This bed's all cleared out. Here is another variety of peas. And this is just a purple flower, something different. I think it looks, you know, cool in the garden. This is wild sage. Just brings in tons of different tiny bees. So it's great for bringing in pollinators. That's why I just leave this here. And eventually it gets out of control. I just cut it back. Comes back year after year. I'll be potting some of this up. Radishes are finishing out over there. You know, I am looking forward to really all the warm crops moving in. Basil, beat up. Just keep watering it. You know, I'll be putting more in. It got a little bit dry. We haven't had rain here, I don't think, for like 10 days. I think I pulled some of these out before. I'm opening up space. Look. Take a look at how nicely they're doing. As soon as you start watering them, they really take off. These are parsnips too. Had to open up a space because the leaves were pretty much shading out the parsnips, and you can just push them back. I mean, here's another example too. Here's a sunflower right in here. Doesn't seem to be affecting the parsnips. If we come in here, this is where the baby rabbit has been enjoying the carrots, which I have enough, you know, really to share. Let's come over here. I mean, I've been doing a lot, but the whole idea, like I like to say, is just slow and steady. You just can't do everything. Peanuts are looking good. The artwork, broccoli, that's an All-America Selections winner. That's looking pretty good. Melons are in here. Been working with this wire mesh to create something for them to trellis. I'm going to thin this down to just 2 plants and then weave the melons through here, try and keep them, you know, all contained. Even the apples, like this year, I don't know what disease it is, but where all the blooms were on all of my apple trees, which is really bizarre, a lot of them died off. I've not seen that before. Some of them survived. So I'll have apples in there. I'll be spraying these guys one more time, and it ended up looking something like that. You know, still learning, and it'll probably be another good 5 years before I figure out, you know, how to grow fruit trees in my garden, but that's okay. Looking great, nice and green. I'm not overfeeding this, I'm not over fertilizing them. They all look like, I mean, they've all been fed that you've seen in the videos. I'm just giving them time and just regular waterings. These have been watered twice in the last 4 days because I felt like I forgot about them. Adding in more water, I mean, seriously, really just sped up the growth, and the plants are, you know, spreading out and getting bigger. Watering is definitely your friend. Good example of bolting lettuces. This will all be cleared out. I haven't decided what I'm putting in yet. Another example of watering, Swiss chard, slug damage, probably leaf miners. Got to get some dust on there, but it's under control within the new growth, so it'll be okay. Garlic is in there. Closed bottom. This guy got more water than its brother plant over here, which I keep forgetting to water. And you can see that it's not doing as well. None of the stuff in there is doing as well. Water, water, water. There's the rabbit, just tucked its way back behind there. Cucumbers, again, beat up on the outside, nice and green on the front growth. That's all you really have to worry about. These radishes I just think look cool. I'm letting this guy go, and I'm eating the tips of radishes, of the buds, the blooms, in salads. But I think that looks cool. Quick look in here. So this space I've been working on over the last couple of days. So this is everything that I've been clearing out. This is kale that overwintered. It's got the spinosad on there. Already harvested what I wanted. Cut off all the blooms. And I'm going to see if I can keep this going, because these leaves are perfect size for salads. This is a little bit better example of what the purple broccoli looks like. And you just cut off these pieces and you can eat this whole part. And I forgot, to be honest with you, that I mixed in 2 types of broccoli. So that was pretty cool. This guy's a little bit yellow. And sometimes the root pouches, these fabric pots, I sell all these fabric pots at my shop if you're looking for them. This is 100 gallons. Sometimes the outer part can dry. So again, keep that water going. I've already hit this with AgroThrive yesterday, and it looks good. I mean, the green will come back, it's still growing, and it's going to cover up this whole space. If anybody grows fruit trees, I lost an entire branch like this size because the fruit got so heavy. I think the branch was damaged from cicadas a couple years ago and it just snapped. However, this is really heavy, so I'm feeling like I have to go and like remove 1/2 to 2/3 of all the nectarines on here for this, you know, for this tree to really make it. And I don't know, so I've been trying to figure that out. This guy looks good, keeping the water up. Beautiful heads of romaine. You know, these towers work really well. Horseradish. Some of the peppers that I potted up that were that were put out early in the winter in that sunken cold frame, they look good. I'm going to have lots of banana peppers in a couple of weeks. Getting ready to shoot my aspirin video today. I might as well show you that. This is what's going to be sprayed on those tomato plants you saw. I'm going to do a pruning video. Let's get the recipe in. And I have 10 to 14 days here. You can really go a bit longer, so I'm going to go. This year I'm actually going to stick with 14 days, but somewhere between 14 and 28 days is all you have to do with spraying your tomato plants. And if you want to subscribe and follow me, you'll see that video. Kale doing great. Just gave away 2 more heads of the romaine out of there. I'm going to be grilling the romaine actually. I'm going to be doing that for dinner tonight. Another container or another tower. Here are some of the peas that I've been enjoying. These are snap peas, and just been, you know, eating them, pods and everything. These are the shelling peas. Absolutely delicious. They need just a couple more days. When you have something this large, especially growing in a container, you still might have to water this every other day because it pulls so much water out, and then it just kind of evaporates through the leaves because the sun is hitting it. You're getting the great growth, but water, you really just, you have to pay attention to it. More kale, you know, doing the same thing. New buds are coming now that I've cut them back, but this is just, these are nice greens. Before you put down any dust, no matter what it is, harvest everything you want, put the dust down, let it stay on there for a couple of days. That will help kill off any of the pests, wash it down, wash it off, and you know, it's good to go, just depending on what you're using. You know, wash, treat your plants as you wish. The kohlrabi, I'm hoping that little beauty turns into a nice big apple size root, and the kohlrabi will be delicious. More peas in there. Cleaned up my beets. The beets are looking pretty good. You can still plant beets now. They had leaf miners, I believe, or something attacking them. Anyway, the dust helps with that. You're again going in there looking for, you know, making sure the growth looks good in there. I always get some sort of virus that comes in here. I haven't really tried putting antifungal on it or using hydrogen peroxide spray. You can eat beet leaves, but if they get beat up and they look terrible, the beets still produce and grow nicely. So I have a couple different varieties in there. I don't worry too much about, you know, the leaves. You can still plant beets. They're cool weather crops, as in they can take a frost and freeze. These probably went out, probably won't be able to find the marker, but there's a marker. They went out. The leaves of my beets get beat up. I don't really worry too much about it, but the beets continue to grow. And even with beat up leaves or fungus on them, they do okay. I haven't really tried spraying them with hydrogen peroxide. I may try and do that. And you may hear me repeating this part because my camera died in the middle of talking, so I'm not sure where it ended. I just restarted the recording. These were planted on March 6th. They were slow to get started because the ground was cold. They can take that frost, but you know, June's just around the corner. You can plant your beets now here in Maryland in warm areas. They will establish, they will grow. You can plant them again later in the summer if it gets way too hot, so that you get fall beets and even early winter beets. So these are plants that you can keep planting. They look pretty good overall. Bunch of potatoes in there. Kale looks good. You know, the peas look good. And let's just finish up out here. You may see a bunch of stuff out of our garage in the background. We finally cleaning out that garage after moving 4.5 years ago and getting rid of what we don't need. Onions, beautiful. Garlic, beautiful. Everything looks really good. Bringing in mulch so that I can take care of this space over here. I want to get this cleaned up. These guys were all drooping over because I wasn't paying attention that we weren't getting enough rain, and I've actually again watered these twice over the last couple of days, and they were all drooped over, kind of looking like that space, like really leaning over. Oh, here. So I have the dust down. This is the Colorado potato beetle growing larva. So that tells me, and then I can see holes right here. So that tells me, there's one, you know, different size. Oh, dropped it. But here's one. So we're going to come out and, or I am. Let's see if I can get that. 2 different sizes. Colorado potato beetle larva in development. So I'm going to come out, dust it again, just get this under control. It would have been 10 times, 100 times worse if I wasn't out here dusting ahead of time. And you can see how the plants are flopping over. When they start losing water pressure, you know, they're not as rigid and your plants just fall over. I think it looks pretty good. Going to be cleaning up this space. Maybe I'll be trying to get 3 videos out today. Have some fun just getting this set up, you know, with my sweet potatoes. So all those peppers that you may have seen along my sunken container garden, that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 8. I just couldn't throw away these, you know, 30 plants. So they went into this space. I am still going to grow what I want to grow. I'm going to grow cantaloupe up this cylinder. Could actually cut this cylinder up and have 2 of them here. And I'm going to grow cantaloupe up this way, maybe some more sugar baby watermelons, and I will just sprawl them through here. So I got to keep the peppers. They were really beat up. Water, water, water. You can see there's still moisture around here because I hit them last night, and they're starting to come back really well. And then we'll end here. That is those are the globe artichokes. They're doing really well. Got to clear out this space. Some sort of vining melons. I think, you know, this will look good. And then I'm going to take this mulch clean up this space, and continue working through my garden. And again, slow and steady. Don't feel like you have to do everything in a short period of time. Sit back, literally enjoy the flowers, the sounds of nature, just the beauty that's in your garden, and celebrate your success. We're all going to have things that have to get done, not necessarily failures, but things that don't work out. Whatever. It's just not a race. This should be a place where you really enjoy spending time out here. I mean, look at all those nectarines. Thanks so much for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and then enjoy your holiday weekend. And I hope you get to spend time in a garden and you get to share it with family and friends. Thanks for watching.